Alright, so this is actually a joint video with another creator named GamerInDanger in which we both created a series of hot takes for each other to react to. The ones that he created for me are all Nintendo based hot takes, while the ones I gave him are all Mario hot takes, so if you wanted to see what I had to say, definitely go check out the video over on his channel. Anyway, that's the gist of this video, and just so we're clear, my opinions are 100% factual, completely objective, and beyond any form of debate. So let's see what kind of steamy hot takes GamerInDanger has cooked up for us to dissect. Hot take number 1. The underpowered nature of the Switch is a good thing because in the gaming market, it encourages better optimization of games. I mean, kind of. I don't know if I would necessarily call this a strength though. I get the idea, having weaker hardware forces developers to be smarter with optimization, but in practice, it doesn't always work out that way. There are definitely games that run beautifully on the Switch, like Super Mario Odyssey, Animal Crossing New Horizons, and Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, which show that when a game is made specifically for the system, it can definitely perform well. But on the flip side, I can think of just as many, if not more, games that aren't optimized well at all. Look at Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which launched with some of the worst performance issues in a first-party Nintendo game in years, or ports like Apex Legends and Mortal Kombat 1, which run so poorly they're practically unplayable. Even the Zelda games on the Switch, including the 2D ones, which is crazy, still have noticeable frame dips in certain areas. And of course, you also got Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. So while I see the argument that weaker hardware can encourage better optimization, it's not a guaranteed benefit. If anything, it often just forces developers to make more compromises, whether that's lowering resolution, cutting features, or in the worst case, launching a barely functional mess. So yeah, I don't really see myself fully agreeing with this one. Hot take number 2. Joy-Con drift is not as big of a problem as it seems online. People just blow it out of proportion by constantly talking about it. Yeah, I've definitely had personal issues with my Joy-Cons not working properly, so unfortunately I can't really agree with this one. Maybe it's true that the loudest voices online make the problem seem worse than it actually is, but at the same time there's a reason Joy-Con drift is such a widely discussed issue. It's something that a lot of people have experienced firsthand. And given that Joy-Cons are already frustratingly expensive at $80 per pair, I think it's completely reasonable for people to expect them to work properly. To Nintendo's credit, they do offer free repairs, which is nice, but that doesn't erase the inconvenience of having to send them in and wait for a fix. Plus, even after a repair, there's no guarantee the problem won't persist. So while it might be exaggerated in some cases, the frustration is absolutely justified. Hot take number 3. Nintendo Direct leaks ruin the excitement of Directs. Everybody praised Pyro, but I found it very annoying, and when you are in the community, it's basically impossible to ignore them. They are basically just glorified spoilers because they don't make the games come any sooner. Yes, I 100% agree. The whole reason Nintendo Directs are so fun and exciting is because you get to experience the reveals live alongside everybody else. Not knowing what's coming next is exactly what makes each reveal hit harder, but when leaks drop and spoil the biggest announcements ahead of time, it completely deflates that excitement. I see leaks as having zero rewarding qualities. They don't make games come out any sooner, they don't improve the announcements, and much like spoilers in movies or TV, they're just obnoxious to avoid once they start spreading. Unfortunately, I don't think this problem is ever going away because leaks get massive engagement. The people leaking information know they'll gain tons of attention, and as long as people keep giving them that engagement, they'll keep doing it. But yeah, I completely agree, Nintendo Directs are way more enjoyable when you go in blind, and leaks only ruin the experience. Hot take number 4. Nintendo Switch Online is one of the most reasonable online prices. People hate it because it's a recurring payment that they have to pay, but servers will always need to be paid for, so they can't just charge people one upfront cost. On websites like CD Keys, you can get a whole year for just €12, which gets you a load of retro game consoles as a bonus. This is so much cheaper and better than competing brands. Yup, a lot of people are frustrated about having to pay for Nintendo's online service, especially since it was free on previous systems. However, when you break it down, I don't really see an issue with it. The basic online service costs $20 per year, at least USD, which is significantly cheaper than what Xbox and PlayStation offer. This includes cloud saves, access to certain exclusive titles, and a library of NES and Super Nintendo games. At the end of the day, online servers cost money, and it's not realistic to expect Nintendo to provide them for free. Some might argue that the N64 expansion pack is too expensive, but even then, I don't think that's overpriced. priced. It costs $50 per year, still cheaper than other platforms, and includes free access to select DLCs plus the N64, Sega Genesis, and Game Boy game libraries. On top of that, having a Nintendo Switch Online subscription also grants access to Nintendo's music platform. While that service has its flaws, it's an added benefit that still will continue to expand over time. So while there are plenty of valid criticisms to make about Nintendo, I don't personally think that their online service is one of them. Hot take number 5. 2D Kirby games are severely overrated. The floaty movement feels clunky and slows down the gameplay. Nope, I talked about this in my Easy Games video a few weeks back, shameless plug, but I see the floaty movement in Kirby games as a positive rather than a negative. I can see why it might be off-putting for some, but I don't think that makes the games overrated, rather it might just not be for you personally. Part of the whole fun of Kirby games to me is a slow down and relaxing experience. Kirby games are designed to be approachable and stress-free, which is why they appeal to such a wide range of players. Of course, they also offer more challenging content if you go looking for it, whether through hidden collectibles, harder boss fights, or optional post-game modes. But at their core, they prioritize accessibility and fun over strict platforming precision. So while I totally understand why the movement might not click for everybody, I wouldn't call it a flaw. If anything, it's part of what makes Kirby, a series that thrives on charm, creativity, and a more laid-back experience. Hot take number 6. The Wii U was a great console, it just didn't sell well. People view it as bad just because of its sales numbers. I've always appreciated the Wii U and many of its games, so I'm not here to tear it down or claim it was a terrible system. I do think it gets a lot more hate than it deserves, likely because it severely hurt Nintendo's presence in the home console market until the Switch came along and revitalized things. That said, I would not go as far as to call the Wii U a great system. In hindsight, it feels more like a stepping stone that paved the way for the Switch to truly shine. The gamepad introduced an interesting concept, allowing for off-TV play and a second screen experience in certain games. The first of these ideas was executed far better on the Switch since it allows for the true portability without needing to stay near the console. That said, I do respect what the Wii U was trying to achieve. As for the second screen functionality, it was often underutilized or felt more like a gimmick, Super Mario Maker being one of the few games where it really worked well. I won't repeat the common criticisms, but if you want a prime example of its shortcomings, just look at Star Fox Zero. At the end of the day, the Wii U's biggest downfall was its poor marketing. Within the grander scope of Nintendo consoles, I'd still consider it one of their weaker efforts. And now that most of the best games have been ported to the Switch, I rarely even find myself wanting to go back to it. When it comes to the home Nintendo consoles, the Wii U is unfortunately one of the weaker ones. Hot take number 7. Bowser's Fury is often viewed as the most recent and best iteration of the 3D Mario moveset so far, but I found the movement much less fluid and more restrictive than Mario Odyssey. Now, this is an interesting hot take, especially because I actually didn't play Bowser's Fury for the longest time. I'm not sure why. I bought Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury when it launched, but for some reason I just never got around to diving into the new content. So when I finally sat down to play it, I was really curious to see how it felt, especially in comparison to Odyssey. Now, this hot take is specifically about the movement, so I will save the rest of my thoughts for a future video, and I completely agree. I think Super Mario Odyssey is far and away the best controlling Mario game. Honestly, it just might even be the best controlling 3D platformer I've ever played. So the notion that Bowser's Fury tops it is pretty laughable to me. While Bowser's Fury certainly has its merits, its movement system is ultimately more restrictive, feeling like a middle ground between 3D World and Odyssey rather than a full evolution of Mario's mobility. It's a fun experiment, but when it comes down to raw movement, Odyssey is in a league of its own. Hot take number 8. Mario Party 8 was the best Mario Party. It had fun items, great boards, all with fun mechanics. Motion controls are also seen as bad, but in casual environments like Mario Party, I enjoy them. So this is going to be really funny because I wrote the exact opposite take in the list of the opinions that I sent over to GamerInDanger, but anyway, let's break this down. Now, I grew up with this game, being that I was right there with the Wii generation. This was a cornerstone of my childhood. Despite that, I have no problem ripping into this game nowadays. The first thing that I completely disagree with is the take that the game had great boards all around. No, it had one great board. Koopa's Tycoon Town is incredible, we all know that, but once you look past that one, the cracks really begin to show quickly. The only other alright board in the package is Shy Guy Express, which has this really novel concept of swapping the head of the train with Donkey Kong and Bowser. All four of the other boards range from being completely mediocre to actively pissing me off. In particular, King Boo's Haunted Hideaway is probably my single least favorite board in the entire franchise. I don't want to spend the whole video runtime ranting about it, but in short, it leads the player into random rooms at an unpredictable pattern. Some might argue that makes the game more luck-based and wacky. I would personally argue that it removes strategy and nuance. Then there's the motion control argument. Look, I get that motion controls can be fun in a casual setting, and I won't deny that some minigames use them in a creative way. But Mario Party 8 has some seriously inconsistent motion controls, and when they fail, they really fail. There are multiple minigames where it feels like the game is just not reading your movements properly, and that frustration kills the fun fast. Even when they do work, I'd argue that motion control inputs rarely make a minigame better, they just make it feel more gimmicky. Now, do I hate Mario Party 8? No. I have nostalgia for it because it was one of the first Mario Party games I played, but best in the franchise? No. The board design is inconsistent, the motion controls are a mixed bag, and the game overall just doesn't hold up as well as the other entries in the series. Hot take number 9. Mario Strikers Battle League had the best gameplay out of all the Strikers games, it just didn't have much content. From a pure gameplay perspective, setting aside the lack of content, characters, and personality, this is probably the most refined entry in the series. I've never been as passionate about these games as others are, mainly because I didn't grow up with Strikers as much as the other Mario Sports titles. That said, from what I've played of Battle League, I do enjoy the core gameplay loops, so I guess I can agree. My only minor complaint is that the stadiums feel smaller compared to the previous games. I personally prefer the more open feel of the older titles, but it's not a major issue or anything. This is probably the hot take out of all these that I have the least to say about. I think the best way of describing it is that the gameplay is good, there is just very little to do with said gameplay. Hot take number 10. Metroid is the only consistently good series. It has only had one or two bad games which weren't even a part of the main franchise. So I'm glad to save this one for last because holy shit. And just to be clear, this is not saying it's the most consistent franchise, a sentiment I would still not really agree with, but no, we are saying it's the only one. So let me rapid fire some Nintendo franchises that I would argue are also consistent in quality. Luigi's Mansion, Pikmin, Mario Kart, Super Mario, The Legend of Zelda, F-Zero, Super Smash Bros, Splatoon, Kirby, Donkey Kong. Some might argue that other ones would be on the list, but those are the main quote-unquote consistent franchises that I would say for Nintendo. And yes, I said Super Smash Bros, and no, I don't take that back. So that is it for my reaction to GamerInDanger's most hot Nintendo takes. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe as it is the best way to support the channel. And of course, if you have any hot takes of your own, please feel free to leave them in the comments as I would love to hear what you have to say, or you can absolutely destroy me for mine as well, that's fine too. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, peace out.